All right, folks, it's another great episode of Lunch with Doug. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper, and today we are going to be talking about the whole story, folks. But you're not going to get the whole story today, but you're going to get a story about the whole story. You have to listen to every podcast to get the whole story. We'll be back with today's story right after this. The Lunch with Doug podcast is produced by the Music Exerbia Project, and today's show is brought to you in part by the Second Edition shop at 500 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. The Bell's Boutique, also at 500 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. The Harry Frog Graphics at 150 North Commercial Street, or call them at 417-381-1077, harryfroggraphics.com. Nevada Tobacco Store at 125 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri, now selling alcohol. Bobby Ogle, the doTERRA Wellness Advocate, Essentially Fit, and the Interior Motives, all located at 119 North Main Street in Nevada, Missouri, or visit her website at mydoterra.com/Bobby Ogle. The Brickwall Bistro Catering, 417-684-1095. Verco Apparel, located at 112 North Cedar Street on the Square in fantastic Nevada, Missouri. And the Casa Azteca Mexican Restaurant, located at 903 East Subway Boulevard on the historic Jefferson Highway. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with me. So someone asked me the other day, they mentioned that my social media posts never really tell the whole story about what I'm talking about in those posts. It just kind of leaves them hanging with a little bit of mystery. And that is because, folks, this podcast is where you listen to hear the whole story. So those posts on social media, as you see them, some days I'm not saying listen to the podcast. It's not a podcast promotion, but yet I'm leading you into, you got to remember, hey, I can listen to the podcast, and he's going to be babbling on more about what he's just talking about. So, so that's what you got to do, folks. You got to listen to the podcast for the whole story, or maybe the whole story isn't even here. You got to listen to the Dangerous Doug Harper music. You got to read the Local Ear magazine, and all of this will come together. Not that you care about the whole story, but somebody was asking. So maybe they do care about the whole story. Oh, wasn't that cool? I feel cool. Got that ticky thing. I bet some of you guys don't like the ticky thing. But it happens sometimes because I'm thirsty, and I'm drinking the Pepsi. I love the Pepsi. There you go. Pepsi. Pepsi it up, folks. So the whole story today, what are we going to be talking about today? I want to take a look at many of the episodes. Because if you're listening for the first time, because I know we've been getting some new listeners as we move to the new office, and there's new listeners that are tuning in that probably haven't went back very far. I encourage you to go back and look through the topics and grab the episodes. They're very topical. Grab the episodes that you, that catch your eye. But I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to run down this year's. I'm going to go through season 7 here. We have topped 500 episodes, folks. I haven't even really talked about that, but we are past 500 episodes of Lunch with Doug, which is a gigantic milestone. Podcasters, when we get to 500 episodes, we're in the 500 club. So I am now a podcaster in the 500 club, which is I'm very proud of, because it takes a long time to get 500 podcasts out there. But we've done it. We have reached 500 and we're moving on. But I just want to go over what happened, and season 7's not over yet. We've got a few more months here of season 7. But I want to go over what we started talking about. We were talking about food trucks. We started out the year with wanting to make the food truck, taco truck, a thing down on the old village market parking lot, which is the the Bell's boutique and second edition shop store in there now. We got all the people excited on TikTok. We got the 2,000 TikTok views and nothing happened. The guy's food truck broke down. I don't know what happened. Then he sold it and he got a different food truck. It never happened. So it was a sad thing. So sometimes we set out to do something and we don't do it. Don't get it done. Then we had the Chicken Festival come to town, which, by the way, will be back again in January. So they come in, the River and Prairie Story Weavers, and it was a hoot, folks. It was a hoot. So that'll be happening again this year, and that was big. Then Brick Bistro starts selling wine, doing Delaney wine in there, and they were also selling Peculiar wine in there. And then we were like, yeah, so we got to talk about Delaney wine, and it was great. And then Verco Tux Rental time came around. Verco had Tux Rentals. The Glenn Miller Orchestra comes to Cotty College. Then the Brick Bistro starts staying open late on Wednesday and Thursday nights. That all happens before February. What a month, folks. What a month. Or, well, actually, Glenn Miller happened in February, but we were talking about. And then all of a sudden, Coffeecade's happening. And I get to play at Coffeecade up in Peculiar. Then we're really talking about Harry Frog Graphics because they're one of our long-term sponsors. We're talking about Gamers Fusion. We're talking about Vernon County Movers. We talk some more about Coffeecade. Then the new music from me comes out. We start the Songwriter Night, started up at Brickwall Bistro, and then we moved it to Casa. It's becoming a thing. We had Peter Carver on about the play Ella Massonary that happened at Cotty College. We're talking about Shopping Small. We're talking about tons of stuff about music. We talked about Bound Determined, their events, the Nerd Play. Then we talk about, I had a Common Ground coffee shop show in Fort Scott. We hit that. I put out an album called Subferior. We talked about that. We talk about Marcy Mitchell. I played a gig with Marcy Mitchell over in the Pickle Pete's at Frontenac. There's 2 episodes about Marcy Mitchell. And then we're talking about some events coming up at the Life Church. Then Small Business Appreciation at Brickwall Bistro. We started talking about it, that got canceled, but more about Verco Apparel. We talk with Bobby Ogle. We talk about Local Ear Magazine. We talk about a whole bunch of upcoming stuff. We have the ASMR eating episode, which was hugely successful. Tons of people listen to that. The Dance Commotion concert at Cotty, the dance concert, we talk about that. More music performances, more songwriter, etc. at Casa Azteca. We've talked about all this. We talked to Al Finsky about his new book. We have a Cinco de Mayo preview show, Local Ear Magazine cover contest. We're talking about that, which is still going on, folks. Top 10 episodes, we talk about that. Riley was on the show with me, hanging out one day. We talk about The Visionary, the story of George Atkinson. We talk about the new Nevada tobacco store came in, and that was fantastic. I played a show at More Daddy's Barbecue. We talked about that. Then we started talking a whole bunch about the Jefferson Highway, which is a historic highway, which, here's the important part, Jefferson Highway, the first international north-south highway that went from Winnipeg, Canada to New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, there you have it. Sarah Rotten's birthday party, we talked about that coming up on here. Lilac Cruz came and played the Jefferson 54, which is awareness for the Jefferson Highway in Nevada. We talked about the Fort Scott Gazebo show because I played over there. I played at Bluebird Lounge, Appleton City. We talked about that. We talked more about the Jefferson Highway event, a whole bunch. Some real estate stuff selling in Nevada, the Buy Nevada, Missouri episode. Then, the Fort Scott Gazebo show got rescheduled, so we had to have a rescheduled episode. Then I got hooked up with the Tap Tunes, so we talked about Tap Tunes. Our 71st episode of the season was See You in Fort Scott. I played the Fort Scott show again. More Delaney Winery. Then, hey, we introduced you to Kenny Sweet. What a great guy. Kenny Sweet, musician. We talked about him. Then the Bistro moves to Carthage. We talked about that. We talk about the Memphis show coming up, the Taylor concert, and Winapalooza that's on the way. We talk about the Cricket wireless thing that's coming up. That episode was just a few episodes ago. What's Up NLMB, the new little magazine thing, Nevada Local Music Buzz, and website. We talk about that. And here we are, Taylor's Big Rock Show. We're talking about that. And if you've been listening, this episode actually aired after that, but we had, I think, if everything went right, I'm pre-recording this, but if everything went right, you can go back a couple episodes and you can actually listen to Taylor. She visited us at the podcast studio, located now downtown Nevada, at door 4, office number 4, in John's Barbershop. So that's where we've got the office at. And if you want to see the office, you can check out our TikTok page, and there it is. You'll see it on one of our TikTok videos. So like the TikTok page, follow it. So hopefully this catches you up to speed. If you're a new listener, you can see the kind of things we're talking about, what we're following here on this show. And we want to broaden that. We're not just about Nevada. As you can see, we get out. We're going to be talking a lot about Carthage now that Bristro's down there. And all this fun stuff. We talked about, if you go back to some of our video episodes, you can see Barco Theater. We love the Barco Drive-In Theater. And that's in Lamar, Missouri. So just good stuff. So I hope this episode has helped you understand that this is where the whole story is going to be. And I know this isn't the whole story, but we're going to complete that for you. So, and if you ever have questions, you can always send us a voice message at our podcast. You can text message, literally, or you just use Messenger on Facebook. Message us, or just message me, whatever. It'll all come together. That is all, folks. That's today's episode. I've rambled on a lot. And, yeah. So, happy lunch. The Lunch with Doug podcast was produced by the Music Exerbia Project. Today's episode brought to you in part by the Second Edition Shop and the Bells Boutique at 500 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. They Harry Frog Graphics at 150 North Commercial Street and 417-381-1077, Nevada, Missouri. The Nevada Tobacco Store, 125 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Bobby Ogle, doTERRA Wellness, Essentially Fit, and Interior Motives, all located at 119 North Main Street in Nevada, Missouri. The Brick Wall Bistro Catering, 417-684-1095. The Verco Apparel, 112 North Cedar Street on the Square in Nevada, Missouri. On the Casa Azteca Mexican Restaurant, located at 903 East Subway Boulevard, the historic Jefferson Highway in Nevada, Missouri.